Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
It's great to talk to you. So I had an interesting epiphany in terms of the election. Now, I'll be honest. The reason that I was originally voting for Trump versus Hillary is because I was quite certain both were going to run this country into the ground. I just wanted the quickest death. However, I've grown much more optimistic where I think because of the sense of patriotism that has risen over
Hmm.
the past few years has really made me think, well, if I really want the worst candidate, in essence, I would vote for Hillary now, but that's not what I did. So, have you over the years gotten a bit more optimistic and patriotic?
No. I'm fairly pessimistic. That's based on kind of the realism of the situation, at least to me. I think that I feel a lot of people are kind of nationalistic. They want to have pride in their country. They want to make America great again, as Trump would say. But I think that they're evenly matched, or maybe even a little outnumbered, by a lot of heavily left-leaning political beliefs and groups that are kind of aligned with a different mentality, and I just don't see it ending well. Even
Yeah.
even tonight with the results, whether Trump wins or lose, I don't. I don't know. I don't have a very good, sunny, happy disposition. I don't have a great outlook. I've been pretty clear on that for the last year. I mean, people who have watched me before would probably know this. But no, to answer your question, no. It's pretty much I'm at where I was before. So what was your political epiphany? You're going to vote for Yeb? You want to give him a surge?
Oh no, 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 no. But yeah, essentially what my epiphany was that if I wanted to vote for somebody who I saw as going to be putting this country into the ground the fastest or the quickest death in that essence, is I would vote for Hillary. But the thing is, I guess with my difference in opinion and I guess grown a bit more optimistic with Trump presidency, I've switched ways.
So you're saying that you're more optimistic, and so you're throwing your hat in the ring with Trump then?
Yes.
Okay. So you were initially thinking if you were going to watch this kind of combust and burn and implode on itself, that you'd throw behind Hillary and just hasten it.
Yeah,
Uh,
originally Trump, then Hillary, and then Trump again.
I
Well,
see.
not Trump now in terms of burning the ground, but yeah.
So you have faith tonight when the votes are all tallied, when the electoral votes go to their candidates. How are you feeling? Do you think Trump is going to walk away with this? I know that they've talked about the toss-up states that are in play, that Trump needs to take certain key states and he needs to flip at least one that's looking like it leans Hillary. Maybe that's something like Michigan, or maybe that's a New Hampshire or a Virginia or something like that. I mean, do you think he's going to be able to pull that off? Do you think he's going to be able to get the votes he needs to get himself into office?
That's a very good question. In fact, I was actually surprised that New Hampshire turned out the way it did. Maybe I'm thinking of Massachusetts, but I know that one of those two states is incredibly far left. And so if Trump were to win in those states, that's amazing. I can't exactly remember what the swing states are for me to be sure that there will be, yes, Trump is going to get the election. But I can certainly say that based on what we're seeing now in the live map on, CBS and Yahoo, it certainly is shaping up to be an interesting fight, and I'm quite certain that everybody on Lefty Poll is shitting their pants right now.
Yeah, I'm sure Warsey is probably not thrilled about the way things are going. I was looking at, I think it was Real Clear Politics, just looking at their map kind of breakdown and the polls that they use. I noticed that from October 30th to, I think it was November 4th or 5th, Hillary had gone from 260 electoral votes that were predicted for her to 200. So she essentially had dropped 60 electoral votes in just a week's period.
I
And I,
did see that.
and I think that's related partially again to stuff like WikiLeaks and Podesta email leaks and the DNC leaks that came from them. Maybe even O'Keefe or Kiefel or how the fuck you are. It's O'Keefe, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
His videos,
James O'Keefe.
yeah, with his Veritas videos, and then just other things that have come out. The Anthony Weiner thing, obviously. Just all this muck that's kind of been thrown her way. I think kind of affected that a little bit. But
So have you been following the threads on 8chan poll in regards to the Podesta leaks and the whole satanic rituals? What's it called spirit bath or spirit cooking? Sorry.
I've seen it everywhere. I know that I'm sure on 8chan poll they've got it. I know I would guess as well on 4chan poll. I'm sure Art Donald talks about it. The spirit cooking thing was very bizarre. I know that they were trying to pass that off as this is just art. This is some kind of new age artist. Um,
Yeah.
but
It's
I find that a little hard to believe, especially when you've got pictures of Podesta holding up his hands with shit written on them and a band-aid on the left middle finger, which kind of lines up with the spirit cooking, fuck the pain away saying or whatever the hell it was, cut your middle finger and eat the pain,
yeah, and the
that
whole
edgy
photo.
shit.
Yeah, there was a photo that was released. I think you were talking about that shortly. It was like somebody had like a goldfish on their left hand.
Yeah, that was
Left
Podesta.
hand.
That was John
Was
Podesta. 14, I think it was on one hand, and then like a
Jesus.
goldfish on the other with a band-aid on one hand.
Wow.
It's just some weird stuff. It is weird, and I think kind of going to the mindset of voters. I know that when it comes to kind of the Latino community and the Black community, you can have some pretty heavy religious undertones. Not to say that the white communities aren't as well. You've got evangelical voters, but
Uh-huh.
especially when it comes to the base, kind of Black votes and Latino votes. I think that might have fucked her up a little bit. I can't pin it down, but I think it did make people go, "Wow." Uh, if it is some kind of weird satanic shit, some pagan kind of stuff, that's fucked up and it screws with the religious beliefs. And even if it isn't, it's still just really fucking cringy. It's really try hard, edgy, shitty new wave art, and I don't think people like that either.
Oh, I'll
So
tell you the
it was.
craziest thing about that actually. What was the woman's name? Who was like that 69-year-old woman who's moderately attractive but still not.
Was that the
What?
spirit cooking lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what her name is. I knew it when I read it, but I wasn't really. I was focused more on other things. I've really been paying attention kind of to how the votes are looking or the polling has been looking in different states. I haven't really kept up with spirit cooking other than to point at it and be like, holy shit, these LARPing faggots are ridiculous.
Yeah, basically what I was mean by that is I've actually seen her in New York. She did a piece in the Museum of Modern Art. She would sit at a table and she would stare for hours on end at other people. They would sit down, maybe rotate after like 10 minutes or so. And it probably creates, I'm not kidding, this is a very real exhibition, if you want to call it that. But it's so bizarre. It all makes sense now. I mean, if I looked into her history briefly, there was a thread on 8chan poll about that. But my God, the fact that I've seen this woman, I didn't sit down with her, don't worry. But the fact that I've seen this woman is just mind blowing. I cannot believe that there's this connection with her and the Podesta leaks.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing too. I was going to bring up about the Bethesda leaks until we started kind of talking about spirit cooking when it comes to like the polling and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, as far as swing states go, I think a lot more of them are swing states. I feel like a lot of the media outlets that exist and a lot of these polling organizations that exist, and this is a large part due to kind of what WikiLeaks has dropped in
Hmm.
regards to the affiliations that the Clinton Foundation and the DNC have to different organizations and actors and celebrities and reporters. I feel like a lot of those polls are skewed. They're oversampled towards Democrats. I do believe that is something that realistically did happen. And I
Yeah.
think that the reason we're seeing, I mean, like Clinton was losing, she was up 11 points one day and then the next day down to like up 1 point. Like she dropped 10 points,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy. So I think that WikiLeaks had an effect. I think that it made them stop oversampling like they did. So we might see more states in play. I really don't know how it's going to turn out, but I was really shocked to see her, at least in this one instance, go from 260 to 200 in the span of just a week. And all the shit that she's been getting hammered with, I think, has maybe opened up more states to be at play. So
Hmm.
maybe you do have a reason to be optimistic. I really don't know. I know things are tight. As far as New Hampshire goes, those are just some small towns. I think it's if you have a population of under 100, you're allowed to do midnight voting and get your votes counted. And I think that they just do it to be first. Like they're the equivalent of the first YouTube count. You know what I mean? The guy goes into a YouTube video and says first. That's what these people are. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it really is a predictor of how the election's going to turn out. I know when it was Obama and Romney that Obama had, I think it was like, was it 33 to 23 or something like that? He had a lead.
I
Uh,
was not paying attention to that. I can tell you I was a former progressive turned conservative nationalist in a span of 4 years. So
I,
it's crazy.
I think a lot of people have had their political affiliations kind of shaken up. Just
Have yours, out of curiosity?
I've pretty much fairly been what I've always been. I talked about kind of how I shifted over, I'd say, a decade, um, and maybe not political affiliation, but just how I view the political parties. Like I watched the Young Turks when they were like brand new on YouTube, right?
Uh-huh.
And I thought, oh, Cenk Uygur seems like an interesting guy. I like his content. I was big into The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Liked it, watched it, thought it was really funny.
Mhm.
But I think as time has gone on, I don't know if it started to grate on me more, or I don't know if maybe I picked up, over the years, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, on the fact that it is fairly one-sided. With
Oh yeah.
somebody like Cenk Uygur, here's a guy that talks about Wolfpack. He wants to get money out of politics. He wants to go after bankers. He wants to go after corruption. But he still really comes out to bat for the left. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem really down the middle.
Yeah.
Stewart obviously is very open about his political affiliations. But yeah, so that in that regard, yes, I guess my entertainment choices have changed when it comes to my political beliefs. That doesn't mean I don't still find people funny. I mean, I still think Jon Stewart's funny. I still think Stephen Colbert is funny when he does shit like, God, what was the show? Strangers with Candy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When he's voicing characters in, fucking Adult Swim shows, he's great. Uh,
Oh, what does he voice?
maybe I'm fucking wrong. Chat will probably crucify my ass for this, but I'm fairly certain he was Birdman's boss.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think he was. Chat, I don't know if you can back me up on this. But
That's like old school Adult Swim. That's great though.
yeah,
But
the good old fucking shit. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I remember Tom Visits the Mayor. I remember the Oblongs when they actually played good anime in Inuyasha and all that.
When he had nothing but fucking 800 episodes of Inuyasha, followed by 40 episodes of Bleach, and 20-year-old DBZ episodes. Yeah, that was a fucking lineup that they went with for a good solid 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting. But before I get off, I like circling back to what I was saying about change in political affiliation. I can certainly say with experience that I've done adminning a few Facebook pages. You might know me, or many in the chat might know me as Goysexual. And I administrated these pages like Social Justice Warriors, Post Hunger Stress Disorder, and a few others, and they're really well known. And I found a common theme
Hmm.
where a lot of these people who follow these pages do consider themselves left wing, but they're so sick and tired of the progressive ideology of the past few years, and I don't know if it's most of them are turning right wing or choosing to remain liberal, but it seems a lot of these people, a lot of these anti SJWs are former liberals, former progressives, and so it's sort of like there was a theory that you mentioned before. What's it called? Strauss-Howe theory, generational theory.
Yeah, where it shifts about every. Yeah, it's a cycle of 4 shifts. Yeah, where it kind of cycles through a different majority belief among a certain generation. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because I have a bit of a standard. I know I'm like way over time. It's almost 15 minutes, but what I've noticed, or more so what my tastes are, specifically in partners, like relationships, is I go after Gen X because the way that I've structured it is they are liberal enough to be egalitarian, but they're conservative enough to be traditional. So I think that with the effect of generation between baby boomers and millennials, I think baby boomers were typically maybe more moderate. I know a few of them were the people who took part in the campus free speech movements, but unfortunately now they've turned into a culture of entitlement. And so I think with Gen X, the people before that, before baby boomers, pretty much instilled those values. It makes it so attractive to me. So
Yeah, I mean, to kind of close it out, I think there are a couple ways you can kind of look at it when you're talking about how you see a majority of kind of formally or maybe still currently left-leaning individuals kind of shifting towards that anti-SJW or maybe more right-leaning worldview. You could look at it. I know that they say that you become more conservative with age, but I think
yeah,
that I think the internet and kind of interactive communication and the way we get our information and entertainment now is really sped up that process.
sure.
And I also think that yeah, we might see probably in the next decade or so kind of an internal battle in the left for what direction I guess liberalism takes. Are we going to be dominated by this kind of mindset that we need a progressive stack? Are we going to be dominated by special interests? Are we going to be dominated by political correctness? Or,
Exactly.
or are we going to try to return to what we believe we originally were, which wasn't necessarily those things? And so I think maybe you do have a large majority or a good chunk of people that are they feel lost right now. Maybe they're not real conservatives. Maybe they don't really adhere to that belief set, but they feel somewhat abandoned when it comes to liberalism. So they don't know where to go, and so they're kind of caught in this weird middle ground until they figure that out. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how the next decade plays itself out, whether they shift completely to the right or whether they go back to the left and try to fight for a different vision of what liberalism, to them at least, should be.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a great pleasure talking to you. Chat's call me a cuck, but that's great.
I'm sure they're calling me that too. Welcome to the fucking stream, man. All right, well, enjoy election night. It should be an entertaining show to see how this turns out.
We'll do. It'll be fun.
All
Take
right.
care, man.
Yep, take it easy.